Hey everyone, welcome back to Outside of Work, where we explore who we truly are beyond our job titles. Oh, yeah, I'm trying out this new tagline now. Y'all like it? Let me know in the comments. Anyways, I'm so excited for today's guest, Aaron Robacker. Aaron has been my neighbor since 2006. He's known me since I was in middle school, and now I'm 30. It's so trippy to be adults at the same time with him, but also liberating in a way. Talking to Aaron has always felt like talking to a friend, not someone who's basically my parents' age mate. So in this conversation, he breaks down why he's glad he got laid off from a job he's had for over 20 years, how he stays constantly curious. This man, since I've known him, seems to just always be outside, racing his car or fixing his car, going mudding, cleaning his car after going mudding, playing basketball with me and my siblings, all the things. He has so many hobbies that now he's indulging in it even more with all this free time. Finding love again and what it's like raising 3 boys. That's right, 3 boys. All right, but for now, enjoy the episode. Here's Aaron. Hey everyone, welcome back to Outside of Work. Hey, Jen Edit here. I almost forgot to say, this was one of the first episodes I recorded for Outside of Work, and I was still figuring out the audio and mics and everything like that, so the audio quality definitely sounds different than what you've been hearing lately when I finally figured it out. Nonetheless, it was an amazing conversation, great content that I can't wait for you guys to hear. Okay, all right, back to the episode. I am joined here today by my neighbor, Aaron Robacker.
Hello.
And thank you so much for joining me.
My pleasure.
We've been neighbors since 2006. I was in middle school, and now I'm almost 30.
It's hard to believe that.
How old do you feel now?
Yeah, it's hard to believe. I'm 50, and I don't feel it.
You look good for 50.
Well, thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been almost 20 years we've known each other. I
Yeah,
guess.
almost.
Yeah.
And in that time, I've loved growing up with you and your boys and everything, and so it's just been so good. But you're coming straight from your garage
That's
as
right.
usual. That's the place I would
That's
always
where you can
see
find
you.
me nowadays.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, nowadays, always
That's
that we
true.
could find you in the
Fair enough.
garage. Yeah, what were you doing?
So I was actually hanging a pull-up bar.
Really?
Yeah. So I have one already, but it's sort of in the middle of the the spot where I park one of the cars.
Mhm.
And now that I have my race car in the garage, I need to like have a spot in between the cars to do
some.
pull-ups. So yeah. So I figured out a way. There's no good place to hang it there, so I
Yeah.
had to like mount boards and then mount the pull-up bar to the boards and everything. So it's a bit of a process,
That's
but
so interesting. You trying to
yeah.
get jacked for the
Of
summer?
course, yeah. I mean, like,
I
gotta
love
do
it.
what you can.
You're like, I gotta
I've
look
seen you in your
good.
garage working out too, so
That's true. That's true.
it's a good thing to do.
It is. Well, that's awesome. Yesterday was Father's Day.
That's right.
Yeah. Did you do anything special with your boys?
Me and the 3 boys went to my parents' house to celebrate with my stepfather, and it's always nice
Nice.
to hang out with the family. Celebrate both for me and for my
And
stepfather.
for your
So yeah, it was a
stepfather.
good day.
Yeah. What'd you guys do?
Not really all that much. Just went for a walk, hung out, made a nice meal.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't stay for that long. Nothing exciting,
Yeah.
but just hanging around the house.
That just sounds relaxing,
Yeah,
really.
yeah, it was great.
Just to be with family
Yeah.
and the boys and everything.
Yeah, and I'd taken the top off the Jeep because it's nice weather lately,
Nice.
so we cruised out there with the top down, and that's just fun. I
So
love that. I
nice.
look forward to this time of year so much
Right? I was gonna say,
because
like,
of that as well as other reasons.
it's awesome. And then, you said you also have a sports car. Like, is it a Beamer still? Or
It is, yeah. So it's my race car. It's an older car, like a 2002 3 Series, a 330.
Oh wow.
And there's a racing class specifically for that car. It's called Spec E46, which is, all the cars are that, vintage, like, between 2001 and 2005.
Yeah.
A BMW with the same engine, same everything, like the same weight, and the same power, and that way there's parity. Like every car is about the same speed, and it all comes down to the driver. In a lot of
Really?
the classes, it just becomes an arms race of who can spend the most money and make their car the fastest. So this is more of like a pure driver's class, which is
I
what
see.
appealed to me. And also, it sort of has a ceiling on how much money you're
Yeah.
realistically going to spend. You set the car up, and then it's done. It's not like you can chase, that last tenth of a second with
Hmm.
$10,000 worth of aero or
Yeah,
something like that.
no.
None of that exists. So
Why you choose to get an older model instead of like one of these newer
because
ones?
they're much well, first of all, they're much cheaper, but
Yeah.
they're also much easier to work on.
Oh.
The newer cars are all, basically you're using a laptop rather than a wrench.
Oh.
There's just not much you can do
Hmm.
without some really serious programming to the ECU and that type of thing. So
Interesting. My boyfriend would love this conversation because a lot of these words are
yeah,
ECU
ECU.
and
it's like the brain of the car. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
That's so cool. Are you gonna take it out to race anytime this summer?
Yeah, I've been doing some track days for a couple years now with it. I mean, I've been doing track days for maybe 10 years,
Yeah.
but with this car, a couple of years now, and I've just been slowly building it up to get it ready. So I think it's
Yeah.
pretty much ready now. It's got all the safety gear, roll cage. I have to finish like the fire suppression system and that type of
Okay.
thing because you have to have all that to
Yeah.
race. It's a requirement for safety. So
Oh.
yeah, just a couple more things to
Just
finish
so
up, but
but
yeah.
it seems like it's fun for you. It's not really like much of a chore.
It can be,
Hmm.
the driving is the fun part.
Okay.
But yeah, there are projects that are fun, and then there are projects that are tedious and
Mhm.
bust your knuckles and everything. But overall, it's I wouldn't do it if I didn't enjoy the process at
That's
least
true.
somewhat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So handsy. I could listen, that's a whole skill I do not have. That's awesome. And so this conversation really is about who we are outside of our job titles,
Hmm.
right? Who we truly are. And so how would you describe yourself?
It's a good question. Well, I certainly wouldn't describe myself by any type of job title to
Mm,
start with. That's just never been my my way is to be about my job and what I
yeah.
do because I guess I've never had a job that I've been super passionate about.
Interesting. Okay.
So I would probably describe myself more in terms of what I'm interested in
Okay.
outside of work, what I like to do. I'm sort of adventurous. I'm outgoing and like to make new friends. I like to,
Okay.
try new things, learn new skills.
Yeah.
I'm always looking for some new way to kind of be better than I was last year, if that's possible as we get older.
Hmm.
So yeah, I'm more about that than the job title.
Yeah.
I worked at City for a long time,
Mm,
as you know, and had a number of different roles there, like IT, information security,
yeah.
project management, risk management, and at no point during that time when I met someone new and they said, "Oh, tell me about yourself," did I say, "Well, I work for
Yeah.
City." It's just wasn't where I went.
Oh, you're different than me then because yeah, for me,
Well,
yeah.
but you pursued a career that was like really in line with your interests. So
I was okay, sure. I would say so for sure because like that was something, that is something that I'm passionate about, telling people stories and meeting people. And for a time, it felt like it was definitely a part of me. But now looking back, I'm just kind of like maybe I made it too much
mm,
a part
okay,
of my identity.
okay,
So much so that when I got laid
interesting.
off, I was like,
You lost part of
wait,
your
who is
identity.
Gentrix? Yeah.
Yeah,
I realized how
interesting.
big of a part of my identity I made it. So much so that
Hmm.
like I'm missing events with my family and my friends
Right.
and just, working crazy hours and just
Yeah.
like, pursuing this like perpetual climb. And so in a way it kind of became more detrimental.
Interesting. Yeah. So, but I think there's a difference between having an identity that includes your career and
Hmm.
your vocation more so than just the job, right?
Yeah.
The job you were doing, um, that job, that company, that specific role wasn't so much your identity as this.
Yeah.
And you can, losing that job or leaving that job isn't the same as saying goodbye to this,
It's true. Yeah, that's
so
a good point.
yeah, hopefully you
Yeah.
don't feel like you've lost too much.
I think I'm slowly trying to get it back, and I think by talking to people like you and to all these other people that I'm eventually going to be speaking to, I think that'll help me get closer to figuring out who it is that
Yeah,
I am.
yeah.
Because yeah, maybe one thing's like I'm very family oriented.
Mhm.
When I have friends, like you are my friend. I will, I'll ride and die for you. I love meeting people. I
Yeah.
love running. So that's kind of part of my identity. But I don't know. With this, it just feels like a big chunk is lost. So
Mm,
gotta figure
yeah.
some stuff out.
Yeah.
Exactly. I do love that you didn't define yourself by your role at City. But like, can you tell me a bit more about that? Like, what kind of roles did you hold, and then
Yeah.
like, how did that change over time?
Sure. So, I mean, it started sort of right after college.
Yeah.
I was actually a psychology major in college. I don't know if I ever mentioned that.
No.
Yeah. So I thought about going into that field, getting a master's, maybe getting a PhD, being a therapist, being some
Hmm.
sort of a psychologist in some capacity working in that field. But in college, I worked in a ski shop,
Hmm.
and I actually really liked that too. It was a
Hmm.
super fun job. So when I graduated, a couple of my part-time colleagues at the ski shop had real jobs, so to speak, and they were like, we're hiring,
Yeah.
we need other people to be like project managers working for, then it was Smith Barney. Now it all kind of merged into Citigroup.
I see.
And I thought, well, yeah, sure, why not? I'll give it a shot.
Yeah.
And 27 years later,
27 years later.
yeah, I mean, I
Yeah.
just did that, from one job to one role within that company to the
Yeah.
next, starting with project management, sort
Hmm.
of in the IT area, and then moving like into solid IT, and then information security. And all along, I'm sort of like advancing.
Yeah.
So at no time did I have this feeling like
Mm.
I'm on the wrong path. What
Hmm.
am I doing? This isn't what I set out to do
Hmm.
because, I was advancing and the money kept improving and everything. So I thought, well, this is good enough. I
Yeah.
don't hate it.
Oh, okay, that's good. Yeah, right.
I don't hate it.
So let's keep
So,
going.
and it's tapping into some set of skills that I have that I
Yeah.
didn't really know I had, I guess. But also at no point was I like passionate about it.
Yeah.
And, that made it a bit of a grind a lot of times.
Hmm. Do you think it's a myth, like, to have passion in the thing you do? Like, you know what I mean? Because I feel like oftentimes
Yeah.
people are like, "Oh, do what you're passionate about, do what you love,"
Do what you love and you'll never work
and
a day in your
and
life, right?
exactly. Do you
Yeah.
think that's a myth, or is that true?
I don't think it's a myth. I just don't think it's very common.
Mm.
And I think you might also have to have a certain type of personality to feel that way. And then I also think maybe some of the people who claim that are just sort of blowing sunshine at you,
Interesting.
because work is hard. You get paid
Yeah.
for it because it's hard.
Mhm.
There are very few jobs out there where people, I think, truly love what they do.
Mhm.
But maybe that's just coming from a guy who's never found that magic formula. But
Maybe.
I know from personal experience, for a while, I had a little side business
Yeah.
teaching competitive shooting because I was
Yes.
super into that for a
Mhm.
while. And there was a part of me that thought, oh, maybe there's a future in this, and maybe I can someday, have this be my primary source of income, which wasn't really practical because, in the climate today,
Yeah.
there's just so much negativity around, that industry that it was, just kind of problematic to begin with. But the
Mm.
other thing I realized was, even though I love doing that, going and doing it when I had to rather than when I wanted to became a grind.
Yeah,
And I
lost kind of
actually
its
kind of thought, yeah, at some point, this isn't as fun as I thought it would be.
yeah.
So maybe it's just, that was
Mhm.
part of the realization that I had that maybe my job doesn't have to be my calling, my
Yeah.
passion. Maybe it can just be something that is, you know, good enough, and
Mhm.
I don't hate it, and
Yeah.
it makes, enough money to pay the bills.
Exactly, it supplements life,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Work to live rather than live to work.
that part, which I
Right.
think a lot of us need to do a little bit more of
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
if we're in that position, I guess. And thank you for bringing up the fact that you were an instructor one time
Mhm.
teaching people how to shoot. How did you get into that?
So just shooting for fun,
Yeah.
with friends,
Like,
and
when did
then
this start? Like college or?
no, it started much later than that. It started, I guess maybe around 2007. Um,
Mm,
yeah, I guess it was around 2007. I had a couple friends who shot just for fun, and I shot with them one time and was terrible at it. And I thought, well,
mm,
that doesn't feel right. I feel like I should be better at this. So I literally went home and thought about it and kind
yeah.
of like was processing like how the mechanics of getting a sight picture and shooting
Mhm.
accurately should go. And I sort of figured it out in my mind and then went and did it again,
Mhm.
and all of a sudden everything went much better. And I thought, yeah, you know what, actually this is a lot of fun. And I think I watched there was a show on one of the outdoor channels, that covered this, the competitions that I ended up doing, and
Yeah.
I thought, oh, that looks amazing. That's like the true test of being good at this.
Yeah,
It's like
exactly.
the practical aspect of, like, running around and shooting on the
Mhm.
move, and shooting moving targets and shooting quickly, and
Mhm.
all the practical aspects of what people think of when they think of, when you watch an action
Yeah, like
adventure
Keanu
movie.
Reeves.
Right,
Yep.
yeah, John Wick. So Keanu Reeves trained with a guy I used to shoot with,
That's
Taron
crazy.
Butler,
Stop.
yeah, I mean, he's Taron Butler is he's a one of the best in the world, but Keanu Reeves actually got pretty darn good,
Wow.
right?
I mean, it shows in the movies. I mean, it might still be acting, but I'm like,
Yeah.
you have
It,
your
it,
like posture and
n-
everything right.
I mean, I could show you a video of him training with Taron, and learning all that stuff, and he
Wow.
got to be a pretty decent shooter. He would compete in some of the matches that I never shot against him or anything, but that those same type of matches he would go and
Yeah.
compete in them, and he would do fairly well. I mean, he wasn't winning, but
Yeah. But hey, it's great
but
practice,
it, but
right?
but like a mid pack shooter in those types of competitions, to the lay person, looks like the
It's
best
pretty
shooter they've
good.
ever seen, because
Mm-hmm.
it's just a set of skills that most people have no idea what's even involved in getting them. So
Yeah.
he's the real deal. That
Yeah.
but anyway, so I thought that looked like a ton of fun, and I practiced for years, and
Mm-hmm.
started getting really really into it, and eventually, I would go to matches, and people would say, can you teach me how to do that?
Yeah. Were you winning these matches?
Yeah, I got to the
You're
point where I
humble
was I
over
was
here.
yeah, I mean, the local matches, I
Yeah.
would do real well at the local matches. Usually me or one of a couple of my buddies would win.
Nice.
And so a lot of the local guys coming up would say, "Can you teach me how to do that?"
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, "Yeah, sure." And at some point I just thought, "Why don't I start a little business and
Yeah.
do this, teach people how to do this for fun?" And it was fun for a while, but like I said, got
Exactly.
to be a little bit of a grind doing it
Mm-hmm.
on, you know, other people's calendar rather than just when
Yeah.
I felt like going.
Exactly. That is so cool though. I remember you telling me about like, going to these shooting ranges and being able to do it. So you literally have a certain type of skill. Like
I do, and I have
yeah.
that personality where when I jump into something, I want to go all in. Like,
Mhm.
whether it's shooting or racing, or even, I mean, you've seen my Jeep. It's like,
Exactly. It's rigged up.
rock climbing and all that kind of thing.
Mhm.
But yeah, whatever it is, I tend to jump in with both feet and get super into it.
Yeah.
And then I oftentimes end up being an instructor. Like, I'm a high performance driving instructor
Stop
too now.
it.
Yeah.
You like get so good that eventually people are like, teach me.
Well, it's just, I guess in my mind, it's the culmination of, once you have the benefit of learning, and
Yeah.
participating with people who are better than you, learning from them,
Yeah.
then the sort of culmination of that, is to then give back to the community, and
Okay.
teach. Like, when I teach the high performance driving,
Yeah.
they don't we don't get paid instructors.
Mm.
We get free track time, which is
That's
that's
great.
good, because I mean, it can
That's
be
expensive.
$1,000 a weekend,
Yeah.
and now it's free, but it's not like we're being paid. It's
Mm.
just, we're given time on the track. So
Mhm.
it's really, I mean, instructing a lot of time is kind of, in the car, is kind of a thankless, high risk job. So you really have to be doing it for a higher purpose, rather than
Yeah.
just, because you want the money, because
Yeah.
there isn't any.
I was gonna say there is no money in it. You
Right.
really gotta do it for the love of it
Yeah,
at the end of the
exactly,
day.
exactly.
And it also makes me just like think that you must have like a different type of brain because it's one thing to like take something on and be like, okay, I'm gonna try this.
Yeah.
It's another thing to try and like master that skill.
Yes, to master it, and the other part of that I would say is there are lots of people who are really good at things,
Yeah,
and then there are lots of people who are good at teaching things, but it's not all that common to be able to get really good at something and teach it. To be able to
exactly.
break it down in simple terms, to be able to really like coach someone,
Mhm.
not just explain what you do and then say, now do what I did, but actually to, work with them hands
Mhm.
on, break it down, and sort of guide them through the learning process.
Mhm.
Maybe that's why I do that in a lot of different things,
Mm.
shooting and cars and other stuff,
Yeah.
is because I guess I do just have that side of me that likes to coach and
Yeah.
help people. I'm a dad, so
Yeah.
it kind of comes with the territory, I guess. But I
Exactly.
can remember even doing that, years and
Before.
years ago. The first time I remember ever teaching anything, I was in middle school and I learned
Yeah.
to juggle. That we had to,
Oh my gosh.
do something in class where you had to learn a skill or something,
Yeah.
and I learned to juggle and got pretty good at it. And next thing I knew, I was at the fair teaching juggling lessons to other kids. And that was like the first moment where I had like, oh, this is odd.
Yeah.
Seemed like a minute ago I was learning this,
Oh,
and now I'm teaching it to others. How did this happen? But I
what?
guess all throughout my life,
Yeah.
I've just learned a skill and then taught it to
And then
someone
touch
else.
other people. That's
Yeah,
awesome. How long did it take you to learn how to juggle?
not long. I was young, so you learn things fast when you're
Yeah.
young. I
You
was a
got more
kid.
time.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a pretty quick learning curve. It's not hard. Juggling's not that hard.
You say. You can teach me later.
All right. We'll give it a shot.
Exactly. And so to go back to talking about Citibank, you were there for 27
Mhm.
years, and then a couple months ago, you got laid off,
That's right.
right?
That's right.
Did
Yeah.
you ever think that would happen?
It wasn't a shock, because there's a lot of restructuring, and my division was eliminated entirely. So I saw it coming in this particular instance,
Mhm.
but over the years I've seen it happen so many times
Oh, I
that
see.
I would have been pretty naive to think, oh, it can't happen to me. It wasn't personal. Our whole division, was eliminated,
Mm,
and there were positions that you could sort of slot into, which
mm,
I actually did do for a while, but it wasn't a great fit, because there were two parts of the bank under this division, and when they eliminated the division, you had to fall within either one arm
yeah.
of the bank or the other, and each of those arms had all their people in place.
Yeah, so really there's no
So
space.
there wasn't a lot of space, and I actually did find a slot, but I didn't like it.
Mm,
I wasn't happy there, and I could see right away that I was sort of clashing with the person who had now become my boss.
yeah.
So I knew that it wasn't going to be a good fit, and to be honest, I was actually sort of hoping
Mm,
that the end result of that would be a layoff, because um, that sort of freed me to look for something new. I'd been
mm,
at City for so long that generally in a big company like that, you earn two weeks pay per year of service as severance.
You've been there 27 years.
So 20, yeah, I mean, 1 year as a consultant, that
Yeah.
didn't count, but the 26 years
Yes.
did count. So that's exactly a year, right?
Yeah.
So, that's a severance that's hard to just ignore and like voluntarily leave for a different job, because I could voluntarily leave, go to a different bank, work there, and maybe get laid off in a few years, and then I have very little to
Mhm.
show for it. But if I get laid off at City first, have a severance,
Mhm.
and then make a move, that's much better,
Right.
right? So for that reason, I was actually sort of hoping that this is the time
Yeah.
when I make that move.
In a way, you found some positivity in getting laid
Right.
off, right?
Right.
And so what new like perspectives or, directions have you been thinking of?
Huh. To be honest, I've sort of taken a pause in in
Mhm.
in focusing on my career. I've just been enjoying, several weeks of, um, changing gears, catching my breath, focusing on, a long list of to-dos that I've had for a while that I've wanted to, to pay attention to. And I'm starting to feel like it's probably time that I,
Yeah.
get online and start getting, resumes out to different
Hmm.
jobs and that sort of thing. But I haven't done much yet.
Yeah, I
And
mean, I
and
don't blame you. I
and
love
I
this.
am enjoying the hell out of
Yes.
it. I mean, we've bumped into each other in the cul-de-sac a few times, and I'm just like, "Hey, what's up?" Walking
Right?
around in shorts and flip-flops, and
Just living life, just happy. I
yeah,
love
and
it.
I gotta say, I've never been happier. But but it's I mean, when I tell people that I've been laid off and they're like, "Oh, I'm sorry," and I'm like,
You're
"No,
like,
no, 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 I'm feeling pretty good about it
exactly.
right
It's
now."
a good thing.
Now in 6 months' time, maybe I won't be, but I don't know, we'll see. Hopefully things will work out when I'm ready and, like, take the
Exactly.
plunge and start sending resumes out. But there's a couple things that I would look for in
Okay.
the next endeavor. Um, I think that, more important than the salary.
Mm,
You get used to a certain salary, and 26 years with a bank. The salary kind of ratchets
exactly.
up over the years, so it can be a little bit of golden handcuffs.
Yeah.
But more important than that, I think, would be having being in an industry that I'm intrinsically interested in. Even if
Mm,
like I was saying, every job is work,
yeah.
right? So it doesn't. I'm not going to expect that I'm like loving what I do and
Right.
skipping into work every day, right?
Waking
But
up and popping out of bed, like, let's do this
right.
today. Yeah.
But I've never really been intrinsically interested in banking, finance, that sort of thing.
Mm,
Just never been my thing. But I
yeah.
love cars,
Yeah.
right? So if I could have, some sort of a job at, like, let's say BMW,
Yeah.
who has headquarters in Woodcliff Lake, New Jersey, and
Oh, wow.
I've been passionate about BMWs for 20 some years now. If I found a role that taps into my skills at a company like that,
Mhm.
I feel like that would give me a little more purpose.
Mm,
Even if I'm just a cog in the background, sort of
mhm.
collaborating on some new widget or marketing or idea, I would feel more purpose if it were to produce something that excites me
Yeah.
rather than a new financial product that I
Yeah.
couldn't care less about.
Yeah.
So
That sounds
that
fun.
is a goal, is to find something along those lines. But more like logistically, I'd like the home base to be in New Jersey,
Yeah.
because city, of course, is in Manhattan.
Mhm.
And while I had been working from home full time for several years, since
Yeah.
even
Because
before COVID,
oh, really?
and then all through COVID,
Okay.
city was, as are most of the other big companies, making a big push to pull everyone back into the office, at least on a hybrid schedule.
Yeah.
So they wanted people in 3 days a week.
Oh my
And
goodness.
3 days a week, as you know from
In
where we live,
Manhattan, oh my God.
is a grind.
It's a
It's
lot.
a lot of seat
You have to
time
get
on
up
a
at least
bus
3
or a
hours
train.
before, yeah.
Yeah, it took me 3 hours to get in sometimes if
Ugh,
I was going anywhere near rush hour. So I'd like to find something in New Jersey. So those are kind of my basic tenets
yeah,
for the search when the time comes.
that totally makes sense, and then
Yeah.
to find something at least you like a little bit more than banking and
Yeah.
numbers and all that,
Hmm.
that will fit perfectly into it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mentioned that you have, like, a list of to-dos that you've been wanting to do. What's on that list?
Well, I mean, get the race car finished. Jeep projects, house projects,
Yo.
um, mostly that kind of stuff.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Shooting projects. There's always work to be done on race guns, just like there is on race cars.
Race guns.
Mhm. Oh yeah, guns that you use to shoot competitions with. Yeah, yeah.
Do they have, like, faster triggers or something? Or, like
You could say that. Just smoother, lighter.
yeah.
Just like really precise.
Mhm.
So yeah, they're like a race car of a gun, in a manner of speaking. So, and in all honesty, like I have a girlfriend who
Mhm.
we're pretty close and we spend a lot of time together.
Mhm.
So, that's been
I love that.
a great way that I've been spending a lot of my time too.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
So there's that.
So do you have any summer plans with the boys?
Yes. So actually, next month is my mom's 80th birthday.
80 years old.
Yeah.
Wow. Bless.
So we'll get together with her, get some family together. And I think we're planning to do sort of a small family reunion at a little resort in Pennsylvania
Nice.
that my mom likes. So we'll hang out there.
Nice.
So yeah, that's coming next month. In terms of stuff I'll do without the boys, my girlfriend and I are planning to go to Aruba, which I've never been.
It's hot. It's like
It's like desert hot, right?
Exactly.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. It's not like the rest of the Caribbean, which is more like a
tropical
hot,
humid.
right? And it's okay. You can like handle it.
Yeah.
Aruba, just
hot.
Yeah, just be ready, and you can drive the whole island in one day.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah,
it's small.
There's no traffic lights either.
It's all the way down by like Venezuela,
exactly,
right? So it's
by
sort
South
of hurricane
America.
proof, which is nice. It's kind of tucked away out of the path
Literally
of all
random.
the storms. But
Dutch, the Dutch took it over, so a lot of the words are in Dutch. Yeah.
Oh my God,
I know.
That's
you would never think. It's like so random,
like 13 vowels in a row.
No, seriously.
Yeah.
We have to like look for stuff. Aging. And so oh my gosh, when are you guys going to Aruba? That's so fun.
So the plan is, she's actually competing in Miss New Jersey.
I'm sorry. So you have a supermodel as a girlfriend? Oh, excuse me.
To me, she definitely is. Yeah. But so that's next weekend, and we're gonna probably go. I would say maybe late July. I think at this point, to just sort of like blow off steam, because that's been a grind for her.
Yeah.
A little bit for me, to a lesser extent, trying to help out and support where I can. But
it's so tough.
Yeah, I know, it's so tough. So that's the plan, is we'll go down there and just sort of relax.
Nice.
So that's on my calendar. There's a couple of races that I want to do. And maybe a couple of like Jeep off-roading trips. So hey, I don't know where I found the time to do any of this while I was working.
But you made time. That's the thing I love, though. Like I would always see you in your garage. I would always, during pandemic, I would see you on your Univeel going up and down.
The one wheel, yes. That's
right. One wheel.
That's right.
You were always doing something. So it's almost like you made a concerted effort to do. I don't know whether it was, intentional or not, but that's what it seemed like to me. I was like, this man is always doing something.
That's right. I'm always doing something, and I like to, try and have a little fun, whenever I can. And one wheel is a ton of fun. It's like the most fun you can have on just like riding around the neighborhood doing that. It's amazing.
Doing on a hill though is wild. I would definitely bust face.
It is pretty dangerous.
Yeah.
People like break stuff all the time. I'm careful, but as long as you don't like push the speed, it's usually fine. If you try and go like max speed, then that's when problems happen.
It's a problem.
Yeah, no, it's a ton of fun. So I like to learn new things and challenge myself, and kind of have these little adventures. And my girlfriend is actually very similar. She wants to learn to scuba dive, and I have a scuba diving certification, but I've never gone.
We're just gonna go down the list of things that you have. You're like, oh I also like my professional bowler. And
no, definitely not. I'm a terrible bowler. But
scuba diving.
The list goes on. Yeah. But I wanted to do it. I got certified maybe 2016, I think, and I've just never had occasion to go.
Yeah.
And I'm not really interested in going to like the Jersey Shore and
oh God, no,
diving in cold, murky water. So
you just be seeing people's like leftovers down there, like plastics.
And there's sharks, and it's like you can't see. When you dive, they do what's called like rope dives, where they drop an anchor and you dive. Just you sort of keep the rope in your hand and just go because you can't see anything.
That's crazy.
Otherwise, you'll just sort of drift away from the boat.
Yeah.
And in the Caribbean, you can see for a mile, and it's like warm and nice, and it's like, okay, that's why I wanted to learn to do it, not to go
not for Jersey,
not to go hang out in Jersey. So I've just never had the chance to do it. And when she mentioned she was interested in doing it, I'm like, oh, let's get you certified, and then we'll go in Aruba.
I was gonna say, you guys gonna do it in Aruba?
That's the plan.
Is she certified now?
She's gonna do. We're planning to get her certified the weekend after 4th of July, I think. Yeah.
That's gonna be awesome.
So
And
they can do it all in a weekend now. When I did it, it was like either 3 or 4 consecutive weekends for a
nice.
couple hours each. But this is like a crash course all in
Yeah.
one weekend. So
And
that's the plan.
Aruba's beautiful.
Yeah,
The water is
yeah,
gorgeous.
that's the idea.
You guys are gonna have so much fun. Oh my
I
gosh.
can't wait.
Let me stow away. That's gonna be so great. And so now I'm curious, Aaron. How do you define success?
Ooh, that's a good question. I mean, I wouldn't define it in the traditional sense of cars and money and a big house. Because sort of in keeping with what we've been talking about, I think success
Hmm.
is having a good balance of what you need and what makes you happy, and a life with purpose,
Mm,
a life of connectedness to the extent that you like to be connected. Some
yeah.
people like to spend a lot of time with their friends, some people family, some people just with their significant other. But whatever that formula is that works for you, having the right balance and the capacity to maintain it
Yeah.
in your life. For me, I like to have adventures. I like to
Mhm.
go racing. I like to, go on trip scuba diving. So, that, requires a little more, time, effort, and money, I guess. So, maybe my balance requires a little more of that than some. But yeah, I would say success is having achieved, that point where you have the
Yeah.
connectedness that you seek, that works for you,
Yeah.
and you're able to maintain it without, too much effort and stress.
Yeah, exactly. Even though your activities require a bit more, time and stuff like that, I'm sure that when you eventually are like certified or
Hmm.
finally you can make that shot
Yeah,
easily and stuff,
yeah.
that's pretty successful to
It is.
you.
It's fun. It's fulfilling, and it's I think with as with a lot of sports, a lot of
Yeah.
like pro athletes, I've heard them sort of say like you win it, they win a championship, and then they're like, now I feel kind of hollow, and what next?
Hmm.
So you can't. I think it's this is going to sound trite because I think everyone knows this, but it's the journey, not the destination,
Yeah,
right? So you can't just say, "Well, my life's purpose is to get a
I
scuba
see.
certification or to win this match or to win this whatever." You have to enjoy the journey, and that's why I think that the balance is important. Because if you lose, and this gets back to what you were
Yeah.
saying with your job,
Hmm.
perhaps you were out of balance a
Very
little
much
bit
so.
with the connectedness that you needed with your family.
Yeah.
If you were focusing so much on that and then things changed
Hmm.
and then suddenly you felt a little bit hollow.
Like a failure in a
Well,
little bit of a way,
yeah, I'm sorry to hear that, but I mean,
but I'm working on it.
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, but obviously you're certainly not a
Yeah.
failure, but to lose that sense of yourself, and having been out of balance, and you sort of felt like a little bit exposed, in
Yeah.
terms of your connectedness with your network, your friends, and your family. So, yeah, to me, I think success
Yeah.
is achieving what you need to sustain your lifestyle, your way of life, but while also maintaining all that connectedness.
Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. No, that totally makes sense. And I like the idea of, I mean, it is, trite, but it's true.
It
It's
is.
the
It
journey.
really is.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
then if you're always trying to aim for a certain goal, you're gonna be disappointed
Right. I mean,
if you never get it.
the easiest way I explain it to people sometimes is it's like with working out.
Hmm.
If you work out because you want to achieve a certain weight, let's say I want to be, 185 pounds, and you're working out and you're losing weight, and then you get there and it's like, okay, I'm done. You stop. What happens?
You can gain it again.
Right. Yeah. So you have to enjoy you have to find,
Yeah.
a routine that works for you that you can maintain, that is harmonious with your lifestyle.
Yeah.
And that's the journey. If it were just about the destination, you'd get there and then what?
And then what, right?
Yeah.
And what's your purpose now?
Yeah.
Yeah. What advice would you give to someone who might be in the same position as you?
So the same position as me in terms of, losing their job,
Hmm.
needing a new job, but maybe not needing it like urgently.
Yeah.
Like you can take it. So my advice in that situation would be to for me, I've very, very much enjoyed taking a beat
Yeah.
and catching my breath first. I don't know that I would necessarily advise that because maybe not everyone needs that. Maybe,
Mm.
I know other people. I mean, I know countless people
Yeah.
at City who lost their job same time as me, and a lot of them jumped right into the next thing,
Hmm.
and that was what they needed.
Yeah.
That's what worked for them, and that's what made them happy.
Okay.
That's not what I felt like I wanted to
Yeah.
do. So I don't know that I would give what my choice was as advice,
Hmm.
but
You can give
it
your perspective
it
on it.
it
Yeah.
was good. It was good for me. It currently is good for me. If I were advising someone, I would probably tell them to do it a little differently than I'm
Hmm.
doing it, which is, get your resume finalized, get offers, or, get applications out, seek a few offers, and then, maybe take your time accepting one, to
Hmm.
be a little more ahead of the curve and cover your bases.
Okay.
I think that's probably a good approach, but for me, I just
Mhm.
wanted to take a little time.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with taking a little time,
Good,
you
thank you.
know? I
I don't
really
either.
don't think so. I mean, look at me 6 months later.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
anyways,
Right.
um, and, you're an awesome dad to 3 really
Thank
awesome
you.
boys, what are some of, like, the joys and challenges of raising 3 boys? That's a lot, that's a handful.
Yeah, I'd say one of the joys is seeing them as they go through different milestones,
Yeah.
as hard as it is to see them grow and not no longer be that little person who
Mhm.
needs you and who just is like, you're their world. It's so nice to see each milestone, like, starting with my oldest who's 17 now and he's driving, and he has,
Bananas.
yeah, right. And he has, we got him an inexpensive, old car.
Nice.
It's a 2002 BMW 3 Series, which is just like my race car.
I'm done. Yeah, you'd be like, you have, like, a
Yeah.
priceless car here, right?
So, but we got that car for the low, low price of $600
Oh, I love that.
from friend of a friend
So
at the
that's great.
BMW car club. So
Yeah,
it was a, great deal. We couldn't, pass it up.
not at all.
But he has his own car
Yeah.
that he loves, and it reminds me of when I was 17 and got my own car, and just seeing him, go through a lot of the same, joys
Mhm.
and challenges and learning experiences, that I did at that age, and going through that with him. That's been a real joy. And also as he grows and becomes a young man,
Yeah.
um, you know, connecting with him, just not just like father to son, but
Yeah.
human to human,
How do you
transition.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. How do
Yeah.
you define that line as
It's it's
well?
a it's a little there's just a little bit every day. You kind of there's
Okay.
no formula to it. There's no kind of decision tree for it. It's just, each day I sort of feel it out. I never stop being his dad.
Okay.
I never stop kind of modeling what I believe is the
Mhm.
right behavior, for him.
Okay.
But as he gets older and more sophisticated and more mature and better at, all of those things all by himself
Mhm.
without me sort of reminding him, then I can sort of lay back and let him be
Yeah.
him. And it changes daily.
Wow.
I mean, certainly from month to month, but daily.
Yeah.
One day he could need a little more, um, sort of parental influence, and then all of a sudden the next day he's got it figured out, and
Yeah.
I can kind of take a step back on that specific area, and that's just awesome.
Yeah. What I've been so fascinated about, especially with Jay, the 17-year-old, I just like how much he's grown. I mean, we would hope that, that they
Right.
grow, but I remember him being, this awkward little
Little.
kid,
Yeah.
couldn't even look you in the
Same age,
eyes.
same age as your little brother,
Yeah,
right? Yeah. Yeah.
same age as my little brother Bray. And it's like to see him just like grow, and especially my mom, she was like, "Oh my gosh, Jay just said hi to me," and just
Yeah.
like had this whole
Right. Right.
conversation. Like she
Yeah.
was so excited.
Yeah.
And so just like to see him grow, like from our perspective, we think it's awesome. So I
Yeah.
can only imagine
Mhm.
where your thoughts are.
Yeah, I see it too. He's, of course, he's never going to be like shy like that around me, his dad. But I've, when I observed him talking to neighbors,
Yep.
um, and being, socially well adjusted to be able to do that, I was kind of like, wow,
Mm-hmm.
I remember our neighbor who used to live in that cul-de-sac over there,
Yeah.
and he's a Spanish teacher at the middle school,
Oh, nice.
Mr. Ochoa.
Yeah, I
So
remember.
I remember the day that he always liked Mr. O,
Mm.
and the day that he sort of started talking to him outside of school here in the neighborhood, when he would come over and hang out, that was when it really started. I think I attribute it back to that
Mm.
point when he started to see, like an authority figure at school who's also a real person
Yeah.
outside of school, and he was able to sort of make that leap from being polite and polite and sociable to a teacher, and
Yeah.
then doing the same thing to a neighbor.
Oh,
And
yeah,
it was like
yeah.
from that point, that's when he started to be more of a young man than
Yeah.
a big kid.
Was it something that you guys, like, practiced or
Nope.
talked about? Yeah, he just
No, I mean,
caught on.
I would say, of course, 100 times
Yeah.
over the years, I would say to him, I would remind him, like, you like Mr. So and so, be
Yeah.
polite, say hello to
Yeah.
him, and he would, he was too young to
Mhm.
do it or to get it
But
at the
then it
time, but
clicks.
eventually it clicks.
I see the same thing with my little brother Bray. Like,
Hmm.
when he was younger, he used to be a little shyer, a little more
Absolutely.
awkward. And then, like, as the years have gone on, I've been like, whoa,
Yeah.
you're actually, over
Yeah.
here standing up for yourself,
Uh-huh.
speaking eloquently. It's just beautiful to
That's
watch.
funny from the big sister's perspective, because
Yeah.
I have an older sister, and I'm sure if she were sitting with us, she would recall memories of me,
Uh-huh.
in that same situation, learning those things. It's funny.
We just love it to see, your family kind of becoming, and coming into themselves
Yeah,
as well.
yeah.
Yeah, and you have 2 younger ones who are gonna be following suit as
That's
well.
right. Yep,
Yeah.
yep. Lance is 15, and then
I
Luke
cannot
is
believe
12.
this. I
So,
can't deal.
yeah, pretty soon they're gonna be all teenagers, and Lance is like 6 feet tall. I don't know if you've seen
No, I
him.
have not seen
Yeah.
him.
When he stands next to me, he looks like he's almost as tall as I am.
Stop.
Yeah,
I must have not realized when we were looking at the solar eclipse the other
yeah,
day
yeah,
because
yeah. He's so tall.
that's crazy. That is crazy. Wow. And I mean, Jay is going to be 18 next year. He's going to be an independent
Mhm,
person going off to college,
mhm.
starting his own life and as well as the other kids. What do you want your legacy to be?
My legacy,
What do you want them to remember?
well, I guess, I guess I don't think of it quite in terms of,
Mm,
you know, there's a, like sort of a cutoff point, and from this point forward, they'll remember a legacy of this. I would like to continue to, have a close relationship with them that grows and evolves through the years.
yeah.
So I mean, years down the road, when I'm no longer here, and they're remembering me, then I
Mm-mm.
guess that's more of like the legacy, and I guess at that point I would just hope they remembered, that they learned a lot from me and enjoyed spending time with me,
Yeah.
and that they miss me, and recall all the fun times we had.
What's the biggest lesson you want them to keep though?
Um, One of the biggest things that I try to instill upon them is to be kind to each other.
Hmm.
Right? They're three brothers, and they sometimes fight,
Yeah.
and sometimes they fight like nasty, and it's
Yeah.
like they hate each other, and they're
Yeah.
like gritting their teeth and saying, "Oh, I hate this brother." And I've always tried to, to sort of kind of cut through that and work around it, and remind them how important they are and will be to each
To each
other
other.
even years down the road. I'm very
Mhm.
close with my sister,
Mhm. And it's just
so
the 2 of you?
it's just the two of us.
Mhm.
So no matter what happens in life, they'll always have each other, and
Yeah.
I try to instill upon them the that their brothers are a gift to them, and
Yeah.
to cherish them, and nourish that relationship, and you know to stay close.
Exactly. Because at the end of the day, family's gonna be all you
Hmm.
got, and if you don't
Yep.
have your family, like
Yeah, I see sometimes people who don't talk to their siblings as an
yeah.
adult, and I just think, wow,
Mhm.
that's really unfortunate. Who knows? It could
Definitely.
could
Different
be different
circumstances.
circumstances. It could
Yeah.
be for a good reason, but I just feel like that's a loss.
Yeah, it hurts for sure. Yeah, me and my siblings, there's 5 of us, and that's
Yes. Yes.
yeah, I mean, even the 2 middle ones, like Eugene and Aurelia, they used to, like, not like each other, but that's just because they were young and,
Yeah.
whatever, but now it's like we're tight,
Yeah.
We're all tight,
That's
and
good.
we have to be.
I think that's good parenting also, is
Yeah,
siblings getting along well.
yeah.
I think if I mean, there could be exceptions, but I think whenever I see siblings who don't speak, I always think, what happened there?
And yeah. Okay. You recently went through a separation,
Mhm.
How has it been raising your kids with your ex-wife?
Uh, I would say, it's gone pretty well overall.
Yeah.
So she moved to a house not too far away.
Mhm.
So that makes it logistically fairly easy because we can, drop the kids off. We alternate weeks. We always had our differences, but I think in the important things,
Yeah.
taking care of the kids, making sure they have what they need,
Uh-huh.
that kind of thing, the basics, the fundamentals, we're on the same page still. So, um, while the marriage didn't work out, I think as co-parents, we're making it work
Hmm.
to the best that we can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Has the separation kind of changed the way you look at relationships and life?
Oh, so much.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, one thing I learned is that in a failed relationship, um, the next person you see, it would be a mistake to think that the right person is the opposite of that person that didn't work out.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, it's very easy to think, oh my God, she was, all these things. So next, I want all of those things. The
Yeah.
opposite of the spectrum. So whatever it is that doesn't work out, there's also going to be a lot of elements to that person that were right.
Yeah.
So I think the important thing is to really, kind of soul search a little bit to
Mhm.
what you did like and what attributes did work for you, as well as what didn't. And then, kind of get an understanding, refine your understanding of what works for you in a person, and continue to seek it. You know, um,
How do you not become like jaded? Because
you have to get out before you do.
hmm.
That's the thing. If you get to that point where you're so resentful and so I won't say broken, but so
Mm.
wounded
Mhm.
from that relationship, then I think you can get jaded, and I think you can carry that baggage and drag it on to the poor next unsuspecting person
Mm.
you kind of match up with. So I think that you have to sort of I can remember relationships
Yeah.
with my ex where it was like, we need to be separated now before I don't like you anymore.
Wow. Yeah.
It's like
And you noticed it. Yeah.
to put it kind of like that. Like right now, I can still get along with you, but
Uh-huh.
we're heading on that road where I'm gonna like not even want to deal with you, and
Yeah.
we need to move on before we get to that point, so that we can have at least an amicable co-parenting relationship. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but if you are jaded, then I think the best thing you can do is to go to therapy
Mm.
and talk to someone who is skilled at working through that with you and helping
Yeah.
you make odds of it and make amends with it, and move on healthy.
Yeah. What did you do to kind of help yourself heal from that relationship? Because I can imagine it was hard.
I have some close friends who I can talk to.
Okay.
Um, so I found them to be tremendously helpful, but I'm also a very self-reflective person.
Okay.
So I've learned over the years to sort of work through challenges in my mind in myself,
Okay.
and work through them. I think sometimes you can do that, and some people can do that,
Yeah.
but other times it's bigger than you can figure out yourself.
I was gonna say, have you always been like that? Have you always been like pretty introspective and
In my 20s, I had, times where I, went to therapy and learned a lot.
yeah.
So I think, it's a great process. It works,
Mm,
and you have to be open to it. You have to be trusting of it. You have to, be willing to kind of go to dark places
yeah.
sometimes. But once you learn the process a little bit, then like any other skill you learn, whether it's a hobby, racing, shooting, scuba diving. Once you learn how to do it,
Yeah.
then you can sort of navigate it on your own a little better. You don't
Yeah.
need the guide forever and ever more.
Yeah.
I think
That's true.
part of a good therapist is teaching you those things to work out on
Yeah.
your own. If they're it's like parenting. If all parents ever do is just do the thing for their children rather
They're
than
not gonna
teaching their
learn.
children to do it themselves, they're never going to go off on their own and learn and do it themselves. So
Yeah.
a good therapist is like a good parent. They're
Yeah.
sort of teaching you how to figure this stuff out and work through it yourself.
I love that.
So
That's really good. And now you have a supermodel girlfriend. How did you guys meet?
Bumble.
So me and my
Yeah,
boyfriend met.
yeah, how about that?
That's awesome. So
Yeah,
she swiped on you.
she did. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, can you imagine?
Aaron, I don't think you know how handsome you are.
Oh, thank you,
Okay.
thank you, thank you.
So she swiped on you, and then you guys got to chatting. And
Mhm.
then when did it get offline?
So we chatted a little bit, but so she didn't love the idea of online dating. So it actually went like this. So we chatted in the app, and I think we both were enjoying chatting. But then she sent me a message and immediately deleted the app. And the last message she sent me was, "I'm really enjoying
Yeah.
talking with you, but I really don't like this app. I'm getting all these messages from like
Yeah.
crazy people.
Yes.
And here's my number.
Yeah.
Text me if you'd like to continue talking." And of course, yes,
It's a real test right there.
I
It's like,
definitely would
here's
like to
my
continue
number.
talking. But so we met, and there was chemistry and passion, and
Oh,
things were great right from the start.
yeah.
But so I was the only date she went on. And some of her friends were like, "What do you do? You can't
You're
just
gonna
go on
try
one
some
date."
more.
y- you know but so I don't think online dating was her cup of tea, but
Yeah.
hey, at least it was a way that we met, because I don't she lives in Fort Lee, and
I used to live in Fort
she's a
Lakes.
veterinarian. I
Yes.
don't think our circles would have
I
really
don't think so.
overlapped. So it was kind of a long shot for us to meet.
Mhm.
And so say what you will about online dating apps and everything,
Mhm.
but um, they certainly are good at bringing two people together
Yeah,
who probably would not have had the opportunity to meet under normal
exactly.
circumstances.
I
So
say that all the time with me and
yeah,
my boyfriend. I'm like, there's no way
yeah,
I would have ever met you
yeah,
unless we were both on Bumble.
yeah,
Yeah, and I remember I was like specifically looking for a certain type of guy, and I was like, you know what? You're the only one who matches. Boom, and
yeah,
then I was done because
right,
I was so sick of like all
right,
those different, going
yeah.
on these different dates, and it's exhausting.
And there's something to be said for, I don't think it's the end all be all, but there is something to be said for some of those, like, you know, attributes matching up.
Mhm.
Like, I'm looking for someone who's about this height and about this
Oh
age, and,
no,
or
yeah,
this sign, or, people have all their list of
they
things that they're
do.
looking for. And sometimes, all of that amounts to still not having an interest in the person in real life, and that's fine.
Hmm.
But having a lot of those logistical things aligned, and then you meet and there's chemistry,
Hmm.
that's you're sort of, you've got a head start in a lot of ways. Because
Absolutely.
I'm sure you've met people in your life where you're like, I'm so drawn to this person, but they're so wrong for me, and
Exactly.
in like 100 ways.
Yes, in
You
a
know,
thousand different ways.
so with the apps, you can kind of
Hmm.
maybe get a little ahead of that too. So
Hmm.
I think that's
Hmm.
helpful.
I remember on the apps, and I don't care if I say this, I was specifically looking for a black man. And so, like,
Mhm.
he was literally the only one who would pop up on this app. I'm like, where are they? And so
Where are they?
I live in Jersey City. Like, I know there's more of y'all.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I saw him and I was like, this is it. And then I was like done with the app. And
Yeah.
then luckily, yeah,
So,
we made it
yeah,
happen.
yeah,
So that's why I love the fact that your girlfriend was like, I hate this. Here's my number.
yeah.
If you're interested,
Uh-huh,
you will message me.
uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely,
That you
absolutely.
did.
And I did, and yeah, I mean, and she's amazing. Like, we're
Yeah.
very much in love, you know?
Aw.
So,
Love
yeah.
that. What is it that you love so much about her?
So, I love her passion.
Yeah.
I just love how we vibe together. I love how, we sort of have a similar way of relating to things. We
Yeah.
both like adventure, but we also both like to relax.
Good. Yeah.
It's that balance. To be honest, like, I've also evolved and grown a bit, even in the time
Mm.
that I've been dating her. y- y- you know, I think, getting back to, like, how do you not be jaded, and how do you,
Yeah.
move on and all that kind of stuff. I think it's very important to accept that you have to continue to evolve and grow.
Yeah.
I'm 50, and I don't think for one second that, like, oh, I'm fully,
Mhm.
formed, and
Mhm.
don't need to make any changes or adjustments in how I am or how I relate to people. That's craziness. And I think both of us, see ourselves as a work in progress,
Okay.
and part of a relationship, and we're willing to work hard.
Mhm.
And I've learned, like, I've also been reading some books on this too, so it's not like I'm just, figuring this out
Yeah.
organically from her, but a relationship it's not just you fall in love and then the end, right?
Hmm.
It's like you fall in love, and then you choose every day
Yeah.
from that point forward to continue to do the work to maintain
Yeah.
that relationship.
Mhm.
And it's so easy. It's so easy to just get lazy
Yep.
and complacent, and
Blame the other person
oh
or
yeah.
yeah.
But with your own stuff, it's so easy to just be like,
Yeah.
I'm tired. I don't want to do this thing that I know she likes for me to do every day, or
Mm.
whatever it is. It's so easy to just let that creep in. But when it's someone you're, like, passionate about and madly in love with, you want to do those
Yeah.
things. You want to see her smile, and be that person for her that she's like, oh, this guy loves me. This
Yeah.
is like amazing. This is great. He's the one. He's the one I've been waiting for. And when you have that feeling that you want to give a person that,
Mhm.
and you see that they want to give you that,
Mhm.
that's special. And I think that's why I like her so much.
Yeah.
Love her so much.
Oh my gosh, I love it. So beautiful. Yeah. Has she met your boys?
Not in person yet.
Yeah.
On the phone, or in video chat sometimes, they'll swing in and say hello, but
Yeah.
so that's coming soon.
That's coming
Yeah,
soon.
yeah.
Yeah, I like to see you, like, looking giddy and, like, a teenager, like, and just, like, finding
Yeah.
love again,
Yeah, I mean, it
you
it it
know?
it really does. I mean, it's been a long time
Yeah.
because, I was married.
So you're just gonna be
Yeah.
miserable the rest of it?
Well, so much of life is what you make of it.
Exactly.
And, if you have that outlook, it's a self-fulfilling
That's
prophecy.
true.
So I tend to try and keep a mindset that's in keeping with what I want it to be, rather than
Yeah.
feeling like,
Oh, I feel my mortality.
yeah. Well, then again, I'm Generation X, and
Yeah.
we like to say that it was like we were 30 when we were 10 years old, and it's like we're still 30 at 50 years old.
Yeah, yeah.
That's just the nature of our
Gen
generation.
Xers.
Yeah.
Y'all are wild. Oh my gosh. But no, yeah, it's gonna be interesting. We'll see. I'm gonna make the most of it. I'm kind of excited.
Yeah.
Excited existential crisis, but at the same time, I think all of this is like in turn to like reframe my mind to like, okay, who are you? What are the things that are important to you, and how are you like, gonna prepare
Yeah.
yourself for the future and go forward?
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's a great way to look at it.
Yeah,
Yeah. I think you'll be fine.
appreciate it. All right, so looking ahead, what are your hopes and dreams for the future? First, personally, and then professionally. Even though we did touch on it a little bit
Yeah.
before.
So personally, you know, I've got hopes and dreams with regard to racing and stuff like that, but
Mhm.
nothing crazy,
Yeah.
all just modest kind of goals. Um, relationship wise, I'm looking forward to, continuing on, the same path, and, who knows what the future will bring
Mhm.
with those relationships. Professionally, what I'd really like to do is, like I said, find a job in an industry that I'm
Yeah,
more passionate with.
exactly.
Um, so
So you can continue doing all your hobbies,
yeah,
going mudding and
right, that's right.
and riding your one
Yeah,
wheel
I
racing.
to be more clear, I think on the relationship thing, I'm sort of like thinking about it as I'm saying it. I think I would get married again.
That's gonna be my next question.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I've never been asked that, I guess, or I'm sort of thinking of
Mm.
it, real time. But yeah, I think I would like to get married again, and just have settle down with that right person. So,
Yeah.
and I think I found her. So.
Awesome. I will be waiting for the wedding invitation. I have my outfit ready. I love that.
So yeah, that's kind of my ambitions.
Yeah. And to wrap it up, if you were to give any advice to your younger self, what would it be?
Hmm. Yeah, I guess I would certainly have some financial advice for my younger self. Save, and don't ever like get into credit card debt or any of
Mhm.
that stuff, because that's just can be crippling. And save. Oh, always save some money. Have a cushion
Yeah.
ready, at all times, in case something changes and you don't feel that pressure and that stress of not having a safety net. Right. So that's, certainly something I would tell myself. But my younger self wouldn't listen, because I didn't listen to
Were
people
you
when they told me
stubborn
that
then?
then. So why would
Yeah.
I listen to myself telling me
Yeah.
that? But the other advice I would give would be to probably, be aggressive with career moves early on to get
Mm.
into an industry that you're passionate about.
Mhm.
Because it would be awesome if I'd all this time I'd spent at City, it would have been somewhere else, and
Yeah.
I'd climbed up the ladder in a company where I was super interested in it. Um, so yeah, I would probably give myself that advice too.
Yeah. Well, honestly, future you now, which is you now, is doing real well. You have like it just seems like such a positive outlook on everything. You know what I mean? Personally and just like looking forward. So I can't wait to see like what you do and where you end up. Honestly, I don't care what job you do. I just want to see like how happy you are, what you end up doing with the boys, how the boys do, and eventually getting invited to that wedding. Uh,
Thank you.
so yeah, it was great. I've always admired, talking to you. We've
Thank you.
always had the best conversations.
Yeah,
And
agreed.
so thank you so much for being like my inaugural host. I'm
Uh,
sorry, inaugural guest
oh, my pleasure.
for
My pleasure.
this.
Yeah, no, that's an honor. So
Thank you.
happy to be here. I enjoyed it.
Thank you, Aaron.
You got it.
Hey there, one more thing before you go. First, thank you so much for watching and listening. You didn't have to. You could have done literally anything else with your time. So I am so appreciative. Number two, if you liked what you heard or you resonated with anything, please like, comment, subscribe. Do all the things. All the links will be in the show notes so we can continue exploring this wild, weird, wacky, and awesomely wonderful world outside of work. I'm sorry, so you have a
Next weekend?
supermodel as a girlfriend? Oh, excuse me.
To me, she definitely is. Yeah.